There is a King of glory. There is a God who saves. One who is strong and mighty. Freedom is in his name. Open the gates of heaven. Lift up a shout of praise. There is a lion roaring. Jesus, the King of glory. Nations bow, mountains shake at the sound of just one name. Over all, Jesus reigns. I know. Nations bow, mountains shake at the sound of just one name. Over all, Jesus reigns. I know. There is a King of glory. There is a King of glory. There is a God who saves. One who is strong and mighty. Freedom is in his name. Open the gates of heaven. Lift up a shout of praise. There is a lion roaring. Jesus, the King of glory. There is a lion roaring, Jesus, the King of glory. Amen.
And let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. And let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. And you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. And let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my strong. And let the King of my heart be the fire inside my flame, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. And let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. And let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good.
You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna Got to make sure my capo's tight this time. It came loose during the first service, and it was a disaster. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. And you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. And you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you.
You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Oh, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 One more time. That is who you are. 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 Amen. You unravel me with the melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies till all my fears are gone. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God, and I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Your love has called my name. I've been born again to your family. Your blood flows through my veins, and I'm no. Your blood flows through my veins, and I'm no longer a slave. I am a child. Of God. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God.
Yes, I
I am a child of God. I am a child of God. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. Amen. You may be seated.
Good morning and welcome to Cornerstone. We are so glad you're here with us today. If this is your first time checking us out, we hope you let us know. If you're here in person, please stop by guest services located in our lobby. If you're watching online, please click on the link in the description of this video. We're so thankful for your continued generosity. Because of your gifts, we're able to celebrate together, connect with one another, and love on our community. You can give in 3 easy ways. By visiting the donate page on our website, by mailing a check to the address on the screen, or if you're here with us in person, you can drop your offering in the boxes in the back of the room.
Please join us today following the second service for a congregational meeting where we will introduce our pastor search team and update you on any progress we've made.
Step Up Sunday is August 31st. On this Sunday, Camp Cornerstone runs as normal. We just encourage children to step up to their next class. Sunday, August 31st is Food Bank Sunday. All non-perishable items may be placed in our bin located in the lobby. Thanks for helping the food bank and loving on our neighbors.
On Sunday, August 31st, we will be taking communion together to remember Christ's sacrifice on the cross. We will also be taking a special offering that day for benevolence. Stop by the First Steps table on Sunday, September 7th between the services and find out a little bit more about Cornerstone.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you have a great week.
Hey, everybody. So if we haven't formally met, my name is Ody. I'm the youth pastor here at Cornerstone, and we're in a bit of a transitional period. If you don't know, last week was Pastor Dave Sherwood's last week, and so you're going to see some changes around the church a little bit. And in particular, up here at the pulpit, Keith, a gentleman, an elder named Andy, and myself will be covering the pulpit in the next couple of weeks, maybe months. We'll see how long God keeps us in this period of transition. And we'll mostly be doing one-off sermons. It's a time of change. And we'll be talking more about that change in the upcoming weeks. Next week, you'll meet Andy, and it'll be great. I'm looking forward to it. But I want to talk today about changes and how we respond to them. But before I get going and too far, we should pray. Would you guys pray with me this morning? Father God, you are good, and I thank you for the opportunity that we have to gather together, to worship you, to learn about your word. And Lord, I pray, I ask, that you would let my dumb stories and ideas fall away, but let your truth pierce through to our heart. Bury it inside of us, and in particular, let it cover us. And let us respond to things, to change, to anxiety, to fear, in a way that remembers who you are. Give us comfort and peace in this time so that we can see how you're moving and remember the mission that we're on right now. You are good, God, and we love you, and we invite you to sit here with us. Amen. So school just started, and when I was thinking about where we are as a church, the place my mind kept going back to was my 5th grade year. I grew up in the Poconos in a very rural area, and my elementary school was one of 5. And we were like in the middle of the boonies, and I could drive 10 minutes to get to my school. I learned to ride my bike in the school parking lot because it was the only paved area I could ride my bike in. And I had like 30 to 40 kids in my grade at that elementary school. The whole school was less than 150 people. But in 5th grade, I went from one of 5 elementary schools to the one middle school we had in the city of Stroudsburg. And Stroudsburg is a small city, but it's still a city. And I went from being in a school of like 150 people to being in a grade of more than 300 kids, more than 1,000 kids in the school. And I did not handle this change easily. My bus ride went from 10 minutes to 15 minutes to an hour. And the most anxious thing for me was at the very beginning of the day, the buses would all drop us off, and they would just shove us, all 1,000 people, into the lobby. And so all of us 5th graders were like short, we're elementary school kids still, let's be honest, and all the 8th graders would walk around this crowd of little kids like sharks, but tall. And you would just be like, oh, don't mess with me today. I know my backpack's bigger than I am. Don't mess with me today. I have a lot of stories about middle school, but 5th grade in particular was very, very anxious for me and very full of anxiety because it was a big change. I had no control over it. And it was way outside my comfort zone. And my parents, not knowing what to do, they kept pointing me towards the Bible stories. And the one we're going to read this morning was one of the Bible stories where I read a lot. This is a story of Jesus calming the storm. And I learned through all these Bible stories that the feelings that we have are one thing, but how we act upon our feelings, how we respond to our feelings, is really what God is asking of us. So if you're using the YouVersion Bible app, I put all the notes in the YouVersion Bible app under events, so you can fall asleep and come back and not lose your place. If you're analog this morning, we'll be in Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 5:1. And this is one of those stories that's in all three of the synoptic gospels. The synoptic gospels are Matthew, Mark, and Luke. They all sound the same. They all seem the same. Many of the same stories in them in different orders. But all three of them have this passage, roughly exactly the same, a little bit of variation. And all three of the passages lead into another story, which we'll talk about later. And so the context of this is very, very important. Jesus, at this point in his ministry, has called his disciples to him. He's been teaching the Jews, and in this case, Jesus was standing in a boat teaching the Jews on the, I got this wrong in the first service, western shore of the Sea of Galilee, near Capernaum, where the disciples were mostly from, where Jesus was crashing on Peter's couch. And for the most part, he was teaching to Jewish people who knew the law, who needed clarification on the law, that Jesus was bringing into better focus the Old Testament for them. Throughout the course of the story, overnight, they're going to cross the Sea of Galilee, and they're going to the eastern shore. Now, the eastern shore was not Jewish. It was Gentile. Unless you have Jewish descent in you, we are Gentiles. People who were not promised the same promises as the Jews. People who didn't naturally grow up following Yahweh. People that Jesus came to bless, but the disciples didn't get it yet. And that's important. The context of this story is important. And so we're going to go verse by verse by verse and go through the story. Not a whole lot of Bible this morning, but we're going to go through and we're going to talk about exactly what is happening. Because this is one of the most relevant passages, I think, not just for us as a church, because we're in this period of transition, but just because our world sucks right now. I don't know how else to put it. I can't turn on the TV or read a newspaper or anything without oh, my stomach hurts. So this is important for us, all of us. So let's start reading. We're going to start reading in verse 35. On that day, when evening came, he, that's Jesus, said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was, since he was already in the boat anyway, in the boat. And there were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up. That's sailor speak for a storm. And the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. So let me paint the picture a little bit. Jesus is teaching in a boat, and he is getting exhausted. And he goes, "Let's go to the other side." And so the disciples all crowd into this boat, and they go to the other side. Now, I've got a couple of pictures of boats here. This first picture is a reconstruction of a first-century Judean fishing boat. This is the kind of boat that half the disciples would have worked in every day on the Sea of Galilee, fishing. That's what half of their jobs were. Now this boat, I got it wrong. On this side, for you, which is the stern of the boat, the back of the boat, I got that wrong in the first service, and people beelined it for me at the door to tell me I was wrong. I'm not a boat guy. Jesus falls asleep in the boat, in the back of the boat. Now, the size of the boat, it's hard to guess there, right? This is not a big boat. There's no inside to this boat. You're just sitting there. It's a big rowboat. There's a sail. That sail's little. It's like an 8x10 tarp. And the fishermen would get the sail halfway out, do their fishing, and then have to row back. Or if they were on the other shore, because the wind kind of always came from the same direction, they would have to row out and then get the fish, and then they would get to sail back. That seems nicer to me. Do all the work and then have the coast, just coast back. That seems nicer. I don't know which way was which. But to give you a better sense of the scale, this is how big the boat were. Those are 2 little model humans with this size. This is not a big boat. It fit like 15 people. This is a 15-passenger van on the water. And it was steered by basically just lashing an oar to the side. And so we have the 12 disciples. Jesus is asleep in the back, not the front. And think of it. You're one of these guys. Maybe you're familiar with boats, maybe you're not. And the really experienced fishermen are like, getting a little windy, and looking at each other. For me, I'm not a boat guy, I'm just, okay. And then the boat guys are like, hey, let's roll up the sail. We don't want to ruin the sail. So the sail goes away, break out the oars, we're all rowing now. It's dark, the rain is picked up, the wind is picked up, and we're rowing, and then the waves get enough that they're starting to splash over into the boat. Not a big boat. We're all wet. We're all soaked. Jesus is somehow still asleep. And half of us are rowing and half of us are bailing to keep the water out of the boat so it doesn't sink. The fishermen, the guys who are familiar with these waterways, who are familiar with these storms, who are intimately familiar with these boats, it probably belonged to one of these guys. They're worried. They're anxious. Bad scene. These guys are full of fear and doubt and anxiety, and frankly, it is warranted. That's where we're at. So let's see what they do next. Verse 38. Jesus was in the stern, again, so I never forget, it's the back of the boat, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him up and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" Now, it doesn't say which disciple it was, which I really like, because when they do something wrong, unless someone has to be blamed, they kind of share the blame. But it's not one of the non-fishermen who wakes him up. It's not one of the fishermen who wakes him up. As a consensus, all of them agree it's time to wake the guy up. "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" I'm not a boat guy. God willing, I will never be on a boat that size in a storm. But I have felt storms in my life. And you have too. I am sure of it. You know exactly how these guys feel, even if you've never been in this exact situation. All of us, from the littles on to the olds, all of us have felt this level of fear and anxiety about not knowing what's going on, about being out of control, about being uncomfortable. And in our best moments, we reach out to God, right? And more often than not, I find myself, just like the disciples in this moment, being fueled by my fear. They've been with Jesus long enough. This question has the wrong vibe, right? Don't you care if we drown? I care if strangers drown. Of course Jesus cares if they drown. They're upset with him. Bad vibe. They are clearly being controlled by their anxiety and their fear. So let's see what Jesus does. Verse 39. So Jesus gets up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." In Aramaic, what they spoke, it was probably one word. Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. Now, I don't want you to hear that and think to yourself, oh, the wind tapered off, and the rain subsided, and things got chill slowly. No, it was a light switch. Snap. Chaos! Jesus says a single word, calm. Not natural. In fact, supernatural. And this is exactly what each and every one of us prays for in those moments of anxiety, right? This is exactly what I prayed for in that crowd of pre-teenagers watching the 8th graders. Just make this fine. Make me okay with this. Help me get my bearings. This is so much a prayer that each and every one of us recognize that it's in songs and we talk about it all the time. Jesus, take the wheel. I can't do it. Fix this, please. In our most extreme needs, Jesus will do that. He will come down into our lives and say the word, and things will clearly be different. Those are borderline miracles. And I can count on probably both my hands the times that's happened in my life. He's done it. But for the most part, the things I struggle with, the things I work through, the anxiety that I feel, he does not say one word and stop it. It changes through incremental changes, through making small changes in my life, and through continual relationship with him. Jesus doesn't so much take the wheel for me. And he doesn't want to take the wheel for us, I don't think. Jesus, in fact, is more interested in sitting in our passenger seat, I think, than taking the wheel. See, Jesus doesn't get up and grab the tiller from Peter to steer the boat in the storm. He doesn't get up and just furiously start rowing better than anybody else had rowed before. He gets up and says a single word. And in our lives, as we're driving down the highway of our life, Jesus wants to not take the wheel from us, but sit in our passenger seat, controlling the GPS. In fact, Jesus designed the car we're driving and is the mechanic who can fix anything. So when we break down the side of the road, there's not a problem. Jesus also oversaw building of the roads. So he knows exactly where the potholes are. He knows exactly where the water's going to lay. And he's got the GPS on his phone, giving us directions when we ask for them. And when we miss a turn, recalculates for us, so that we always are still going to get to the destination that we were originally intended for. The good things, the blessings that he has for us will still come into our lives despite us not listening to the voice in the phone and just driving where we think we should go. Jesus is much more interested in seeing us become better drivers. Jesus is much more interested in seeing us become familiar and comfortable with the car and the route that we're taking. His ultimate goal is to see us grow, not to shoulder us out of the way, to kick us out of the driver's seat and put us in the back seat like a little kid and take over for us. That is what we often ask for, but it's not what he wants to do with us. And we can see that clearly in how Jesus responds to the disciples asking Jesus to just fix this. Verse 40 and 41. Jesus calms the storm, says, "Be silent," turns to his disciples and says, "Why are you so afraid? Do you have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." So this is the NIV. It's one of my, I'm going to be a Bible geek, just fair warning. This is the NIV, one of the translations of the Bible, and the NIV makes it as easy as possible for you to read the whole story and to get the big idea. But this is one of those places where, like, I don't think they translate it real well, especially for what we're talking about today, because what they should translate is, do you still have so little faith, not no faith? See, Jesus is not chastising them for a lack of faith. It's that their faith is malnourished, it's little, it's immature, it's smaller than it should be for where they are. Their faith is too small for where it should be. Now, I've read this like a couple dozen, 100 times, maybe 100 times. This is one of my go-to passages to read. And I was struggling with this as I was writing this sermon because I realized so far in the story, the disciples have done the exact thing that I would do. They have, in fact, done the exact thing that I would tell a student to do, or any of you to do. You're having a problem, it seems too big for you, like a storm that's going to kill you. Run to Jesus. Go to Jesus. Go to the source of the power. But here Jesus responds, why is your faith so little? They clearly knew that he could help, or they wouldn't have woke him up. I don't think he is chastising their lack of faith for being a lack of faith in his power. They're surprised at how he stopped the storm, but they had no doubt that he would help them. I think what's actually going on here isn't that the disciples are doubting Jesus' power. They're doubting their place in his plan. They feel disposable in this moment. They know Jesus is going to keep going, but they're going to breathe water. And that means they're out of the game, that they're not a part of what's going on. They're not doubting what he can do, they're doubting what he said. They're doubting their own calling. Jesus reached out to each and every one of these guys individually and said, "Come, follow me." Just like he reaches out to each and every one of us and calls us to follow him. That is what Jesus is chastising them for doubting. Doubting their own importance. Doubting their own place in the puzzle of this world that he has created. Doubting their position in the kingdom. More often, we doubt our own value to Jesus than we doubt his power or his ability. But the truth is that we are so valuable to him that he gave up that power and that ability and became a regular old human, not a rich human, a blue-collar, regular human who had to struggle through life, who had to work, who had to sweat, who had to toil, who probably got stiffed on carpenter bills, just to be one of us, just to be near us. And then he gave up that career in the family business to teach us how to live, to walk around barefoot, essentially homeless. He crashed on Peter's couch. To teach us how to live, to teach us a better way to live. And if that wasn't enough, he then gave up his life on the cross. So that when God looks at us, he doesn't see our foolishness and our problems and our brokenness and our anxiety. He instead sees Christ's death and Christ's resurrection. He sees us as risen from the dead and perfect in his eyes. So that there is no longer a separation, the Bible teaches us. That's what we doubt. And that's what the men in the boat were doubting. We shouldn't doubt that. Over and over and over again, he teaches us that we are what he values. We are his prize. To finish it up, the disciples, they were terrified, not anymore of the storm that they just got through, but of Jesus. And a better translation, again, would not be terrified, but awestruck. They're in awe. This storm that would destroy them and sweep them out of existence without even thinking was stopped by one word from the guy that was asleep in the back of the boat. They realized that they were riding through a storm with like the heart of a star, a thermonuclear weapon, more power than they could comprehend, just asleep in the back because he was tired. They were awestruck. They were like, who is this guy? Well, he's God. I think they kind of knew he was God already, but this is one of those only God can do things. And they continue that pattern of being only God who can control the wind and the waves. When they get to the other shore, in verse 5, or chapter 5, verse 1, this is where they were going. They went across the lake to the region of, I have to read this, Gerasenes, I don't know. They went to the Gentile shore of the Sea of Galilee, to a town that I can't pronounce. And there, in that town, they met this guy. This guy was wearing shackles that he had broken. He was half naked and covered in cuts and scars. And he was raving mad because he was full of demons, a demon called Legion. And Jesus cast that demon into a herd of pigs, and the man got to live a normal life. They were on one shore teaching the Jews. They passed through this storm on their way to really taking the fight to the enemy, to really taking a shot out of the forces of darkness that ruled this world. They were going on mission. This was not a pleasure cruise. This was not Gilligan's Island. They were going somewhere intentionally. They were storming a beach of Normandy. And so with all of those things in mind, what do we take away from this? How do we respond to this? What can we take from this? Well, I have a couple of takeaways. First off, this is a thing I am constantly, continually learning. Whether your anxiety is a chemical imbalance, a background thing that sometimes rears its ugly head in you, or whether you're one of those lucky people who feels anxiety like a normal person, just when things are bad, either way, we cannot allow our feelings of fear and anxiety and doubt to fuel our actions. And they don't have to. It's natural for us to let our anxiety and our fear especially to fuel the actions that we take. But instead, Jesus is calling us to instead let our faith in him and our faith in who he tells us that we are, to let those things fuel our actions. In that way, we'll be able to, just like they did, take the fight to the enemy. See this world become a better and better place, and see more and more victory over the problems in our life. Second, when we are in those moments of difficulty, Jesus does not want us to just let go of the wheel and expect him to fix it. He wants us to keep rowing, to keep paddling, to keep steering the boat, to keep bailing. Whatever our place is, whatever our job is in the kingdom, whatever our role is, we are to ask for Jesus' help, but keep rowing. Ask for new directions, but keep driving. We missed the turn, it'll be okay. He'll give us new directions. But we don't take our hands off the wheel and just go, fix it. We have to keep a hold of the wheel. What happens if you let go of the wheel going too fast down 322? Yeah! And the worst part is some people do this. They let go of the wheel of their life, ask Jesus to take the wheel, they will crash and then blame him. We can't do that. We got to keep a hold of the wheel, ask for his help, but keep going. And finally, no matter how anxiety impacts your life, in a clinical way or in a just regular human way, storms are going to happen in your life. Difficulty, change, they're going to happen in your life. But it's important to remember the context of the storm. To remember where you were and the good things that God has done for us in the past. To remember what he's asked us to do, to get him across the sea. And to remember where we're going. To look forward to the ways that we can participate in his mission. to take the fight to the enemy, to see this world become a better place. Cornerstone, we're in a place of transition right now. And we are kind of in a little bit of a storm ourselves. In fact, none of the technology has worked today. Any of you with kids know that we couldn't even get the check-in to work. It did start working, though, I think. We only fight and we only face opposition when we are on the right path. We're only in a storm to try to prevent us from getting to where we're going, because where we're going is important. And Cornerstone, we are on our way to somewhere new. The Sherwoods are on their way to somewhere new, and we are on our way to somewhere new. And I can't wait to see the things that God are doing in both of those situations, to see the ways that Dave can impact a new community, and to see the ways that God will adjust our course through the storm and make changes in our community. I am choosing to not be afraid of this storm, but to ride it with excitement, knowing that Jesus is in the back of the boat with us, and he's not going to let us drown because we are on mission with him. And I hope that you join me in that excitement. Would you pray with me? Help us to navigate through the storm and give us the perseverance that we need.
There is a King of glory. There is a God who saves, one who is strong and mighty. Freedom is in his name. Open the gates of heaven, lift up a shout of praise. There is a lion roaring, Jesus the King of glory. So lift your eyes, stand in awe, stand in awe. Oh, there is one, only one, where my help comes from. There is a King of glory. There is the God who saves, one who is strong and mighty. Freedom is in his name. Open the gates of heaven, lift up a shout of praise. There is a lion